Hello, everyone. I hope everybody is having a good Monday. Thank you guys all for joining me, and anybody who happens to maybe watch this on the replay. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry it has taken a little bit longer for me to sit down and kind of go over all of my thoughts about everything that's come out involving Shannon from CreepShow Art. I'm hoping that I can get everything out, all of my opinions out, talk about everything that I have seen out in this live stream rather than doing multiple ones. I know a lot of you guys have seen me in some other chats and have asked my opinion, and some people have reached out to me wanting my opinion. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to give a brief overview of things that have transpired and talk about my opinions on those, while also looking at the chat and seeing what you guys have to say. I'm not going to pay 100% attention to the chat until the end, but I am going to occasionally look and see what you guys are saying and see what your opinions are about stuff. So before we get started, I do want to say hi to everyone who is here and anyone who joins later. Thank you for being here. I will try to acknowledge you guys as I'm chatting with you guys in reference to the chat. So thank you for being here, Heather. I hope you do start to feel better. I totally understand if you just want to listen. That's fine. I appreciate your being here. Hey, Cheryl. Hey, Claire. Hey, Stina. Hey, Rarely Care. I hope you're doing better as well. Hey, Dana. Thank you for the compliments on my hair. Hey, Melissa. Yes, I did let my mom dye my hair. It's the first time I have ever bleached it. I've dyed my hair, but I've always kind of gone darker. So this is the first time where we actually bleached it, and I was really nervous, and we did kind of run out of dye, so it is a little bit spotty. So I'm probably going to let it rest for a week or two. I may even let it go for a month. And then when I'm visiting with my sister, we may do another weird color. But if I can't handle it and it gets too bad, I may just dye it like a darker purple. We'll see. I'll keep you guys posted. Hey, Sasha, how are you? Speaking of hair, I have a hair migrating to my lip gloss. So I made a video when the lolcow stuff happened in CreepShow Art. Shannon, I'll probably use those names interchangeably throughout this live stream, where she was kind of exposed, so to speak, of not engaging in the best behavior. I mean, I did a video, so I'm not really going to rehash everything with that, but that's where all of this started. And from that, she put up a community post. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm not going to be pulling out receipts or anything. When I end this, I will link channels that have shown a lot of the receipts and have reviewed a lot of the content. Xylee has been amazing at keeping up with this story and showing the receipts and talking about it and giving her audience a place to talk about it. So I'll link her, and I'm also going to link, there's probably going to be like 20 links in my description box, because I am also going to link anybody that I talk about, their videos. So it's going to be a lengthy description. It may take me a little bit of time after this goes up to do it, but I will have all those in there. So this all started from there. Then Shannon posted on her community post, and that kind of planted a seed of doubt for a lot of people. Even some of her friends were kind of hesitant to talk about it. And that's something that I want to talk about later. However, because some exposing was happening of some of her crappy behavior, for a lack of a better term, another creator, an art channel named Emily Artful, started talking on Twitter about how Shannon didn't really have a stalker, allegedly, and how everything that Shannon had said, Amy, which is what she named her stalker, was what Shannon and her either boyfriend or husband, nobody's very clear on what their actual relationship status is. It doesn't matter. They're together, have been doing all of those acts towards her and her family. A lot of people were not 100% like ready to just jump and believe Emily. And she did quickly, I think rather quickly, got together receipts over 10 years of what she experienced. For legal purposes, as well as everyone else, when we're talking about what has been shown and things like that, I am going to use the term allegedly. I am not trying to, by using that term, I'm not trying to diminish Emily or anyone else's experience, but we all have to cover our bases to some extent. And we talk about our opinions in more clear form so people understand where we stand. I support Emily, and I think it takes a lot of strength and bravery for someone to be willing to, one, make a video in a style she typically doesn't engage in, and two, allow herself to be vulnerable and reliving what she has been experiencing to who knows how many people. She is a very strong person. She has survived what she has gone through, and she was brave enough to sit down and film everything. So she has a lot of respect from myself, and I know a lot of other people in the community. When you're watching her video, it's really hard to fully connect all of the pieces. And a lot of people who were friends with Shannon were saying that a lot of it is circumstantial. And I can understand that argument. Some of my opinions in this live stream probably aren't going to be what you guys are expecting me to say, but I can understand the argument of people being more apprehensive because we live in this world of cancel culture. And Shannon herself had engaged in cancel culture. That was a lot of what her channel kind of stood for, in my opinion. Yes, she was calling out terrible behavior, but she was always doing it, in my opinion, the hopes that whoever she was calling out would get backlash or would feel less than, in a way to speak. And that's not necessarily a bad thing due to some of the topics that she was covering, but it just really widens my perception of all of this. I can't even imagine experiencing anything like that. And the fact that there is a potential that Shannon made up her story of being stalked and harassed was hard for me to understand, because, and I'm not going to diagnose or anything, I don't have the credentials for that, but something is not right. Something is not balanced appropriately, in my opinion, to be able to come to your large platform, put out this story that may just be that. It may just be a story. We don't know for a fact if Shannon had been a victim of any of this stuff. And when she was pushed by friends and by her audience to give them some sliver of a peace of mind, she refused. She retracted. She deleted. She blocked. That is not something an individual would do, whether there's a legal case or not. That doesn't show that she's not guilty. If anything, to me, it shows further proof that a lot of what people are saying is factual or has some basis of fact to it. And what I think a lot of people, and myself included, have struggled with this is the pillar that she made herself on this platform. And I feel extremely disheartened for all of her creator friends and all of her subscribers. I was a subscriber of hers. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, but I was not someone who watched all of her content. I only watched what was interesting to me, and it wasn't a whole lot of her content, to be 100% honest. So I didn't really have like that strong rapport with her. I'm also not the kind of viewer who gets extremely attached or engaged with other creators. So maybe that's why I'm able to kind of see things a little bit differently. What I really found upsetting is the way that everyone expected and pressured, and at some points harassed some of these other creators who were her friends because they didn't feel they were coming out quick enough, that they weren't responding quick enough. I don't think, and I personally, the reason I feel people felt entitled to do that was because Shannon was a channel that participated to some degree in cancel culture. So people, the general public, the general viewers, assumed that since that's the kind of content she put out, and people who either supported her or who had worked with her knew that that was the kind of content, they would expect for them to do that. The reality is, these people, a lot of people are saying, you know, that they were mourning a friend. And I don't know if people actually understand what that is and what that feels like. At some point in all of our lives, we go through bad friendships, we go through breakups, whatever it may be. You really have to amount what these creators were experiencing was like your worst breakup, because it was all done publicly. Everything that has been coming out and continues, I should very clearly state that things are still continuing to come forward about her bad behavior. They are trying to make sense of it because this is not the person that they knew, and they are being pressured by the public. I would really hope, if you are or have, not to feel guilty moving forward, but not to continue to pressure these creators or damn these creators because they're not comfortable talking about it yet. And in some circumstances, they may not ever be comfortable talking about it. I have watched countless, I honestly could not even tell you how many videos that I have watched about Shannon. I have watched her friends react and give. Think about how hard it is for them to say someone that they probably genuinely cared for have to show some of the bad behavior that they didn't know was happening until recently, when all of this is going on. And they're being forced in some degree. I do feel like some of them have felt forced to come out and state their piece. And people aren't happy with creators who are choosing not to, and people aren't happy with how some creators have decided to talk about it. And I don't think that that's, I don't know if fair is the right term. I just hope everyone really takes a step back before you decide to hammer down a nail, because we're not in their shoes. We all have our own opinions. I have my own opinions. And for watching Emily's video, like I said, I understand where people are saying that it's circumstantial. To some degree, can I see that too? Yes. However, in combination with everything else that has come out and people reciprocating and even being able to corroborate some of the behaviors and her actions over the past few years, it may be circumstantial, but it's believable, and I definitely believe it. And in trying to analyze all of this, because I watched everything pretty much after it happened, everybody's videos after they made them, a take that some people are addressing, but not, I don't know if anybody's really gone into deep dive about it. And that's kind of what I'm going to talk about a little bit here. Is this all really started from the boyfriend, Anthony. Although Shannon, what is interesting, let me get this out because I'm probably going to forget once I get into this. What's interesting to me is in some of these receipts, like when she had her interview with Camilla and stuff like that, she talks about Emily Artful as if she doesn't know who she is. That's not being transparent. For someone who rides their channel and being a social justice warrior and being transparent and trying to damn everybody else for bad behavior, it's a little bit strange to me that she never acknowledged. And I'm not saying that she should have, said, oh, she dated my husband or boyfriend. but just not even acknowledging the fact that she actually knew who she was and trying to play off that she had no idea who Emily Artful was, to me states the intent that CreepShow had to continue to fool her audience and everyone else on this platform. And to me, that provides a lot more validity to every single person because it ruins her credibility, in my opinion. However, I do think the main player in all of this and what had sparked all of this is the ex-boyfriend. Emily's receipts, her hardcore receipts, are very clearly aligned with him. Yes, there are some coincidences with Shannon. I think Shannon was a little bit smarter in covering her tracks. He was not. And it's one of those things at this point where it's kind of like guilt by association no matter what, even though she clearly has participated in it from what we have seen. There is no way you can, in my opinion, that you can be with someone for 10 years and actively kind of participate in this and not know what you're doing. And to me, that's the hardest part of this, is people are having to face the fact that who people looked up to, who people thought were a great companion on this platform, really fooled absolutely everybody, was preaching one thing and damning people, and sometimes not even doing the best research to damn these people, is doing the exact, if not worst, behavior in her free time. How? No wonder everybody's hurt. No wonder everyone is hurt. I commend the friends of hers or former friends, because I know a lot of them have disavowed her at this point. I commend them for being able to sit on their platforms and, say, this was someone I liked. This was someone that it was hard for me to wrap my head around. However, I can't look past this. And for those that are still hanging out in the looms, unaware of how they really feel, we need to let them process everything. Because more and more is coming out. Her sister has come out. An old friend has come out. I mean, I do not see an end to this for the upcoming weeks, because people are feeling more confident to talk out now. People are feeling comfortable, and still understand that some people aren't going to believe them, but they feel comfortable in the sense that it wasn't just them. And that's actually very sad. It's very sad that so many creators, small and large, people in real life, have been so terribly affected by this couple. I can't help but wonder, and this is, me playing devil's advocate just a little bit, because I have to. I can't help but wonder if some of this has to do with a power and control on the boyfriend's part. I'm not saying that she didn't participate, because clearly at this point we have seen so much by so many different people that she was engaging in this behavior on her own. From, if we're going to take what the old friend said and take into account what her sister has said, clearly these kind of poor character qualities have always existed in CreepShow Art. But I still can't help but wonder the lengths she went to and he went to when it involves Emily, if there wasn't some kind of power imbalance happening there, because Emily kind of provides information that that relationship was toxic, that he was a very negative person and engaged and stated some very terrible things. People who have that kind of relationship dynamic, that doesn't just go away. It doesn't. So at some points, can I kind of empathize with maybe some of the pressure Shannon maybe have been getting from him? a little bit. But what takes more of that away than what I would originally have is the way that she treated others, and the way that she went on her own accord to talk poorly about her friends on lolcow. But she would also talk negatively about herself and self-promote. I mean, to me, all of this states is she is unwell. And I do not want to, I want to talk about it and have a dialogue about it, and have a dialogue about all of the people affected and what you guys think about those people affected. But I also want to be respectful, because clearly, in my opinion, something is not right. Does that mean that it excuses her bad behavior? Absolutely not, especially whenever we take into consideration some of this could actually be criminal. And I did make a short video stating, please protect yourselves always. Do not align yourself with any one person on the internet that you do not know. Because the unfortunate reality is there are a lot of people like this on platforms. There are a lot of people who have massive amounts of followings that are like her too, that portray one thing and really are the opposite. You always need to make sure that you are protecting yourself. And I'm not saying that doesn't mean you can't like anybody or engage with their content, but please put some safe barriers between yourself and people online, especially if they're people you don't know at all, right? And yeah, Xylee brings up a good point that they did share devices, which all the more is so weird to me. I do not I mean, that kind of goes to the power. When I think of that, it goes to the power issue. But in today's age, we know she was making a good amount of money. Why did they not have their own devices? And that further states to me that there is no way in hell she did not know what he was doing. And I can't tell if, and the only person who will ever be able to answer this is Shannon herself. I can't tell if it was a power thing where he kind of coerced her into co-conspirating this stuff, or if she saw it and she so desperately wanted to be with this man that she was willing to engage in these behaviors on her own. And as time went on, she got better and better at it, and she maybe got a thrill out of it. She maybe enjoyed it. There are sadists and stuff like that, people who enjoy hurting others. Like, I'm not saying that's what she was doing, but it's not a far stretch when you take into account every single person who has come out, every single friend who has had to sit on their platform and talk about this because they had been pressured, or some of them, I'm sure, actually wanted to discuss it. But to see the pain in some of their faces, to see the disappointment and the disbelief that almost all of her friends have had to have to talk about this, I can't even to put into words, especially when you're watching it. Like, I'm watching it from a third party perspective. Yeah, I watched Shannon, but I didn't know her. I didn't try to get to know her. I didn't watch all of her content. So I'm like a third party to this who just happened to watch maybe a handful of her videos over the years. These people had legitimate friendships with her. I cannot imagine what they are going through, and it feels terrible. And when you put into timeline how things have kind of unfolded, she knew, in my opinion, she knew something was happening. She knew, I think that she was alerted, or was, you know, somebody said something to her that was maybe in the know that, hey, you're about to be exposed. You need to, you know, do what you got to do. And in an effort, she deleted the views, which a lot of creators have pointed out now that she deleted a mass majority of her views, which allegedly were her story time videos, which Emily states has the what's the right word? She has the inkling that Shannon was kind of copying her. I never saw any of those, so I don't know. If any of you guys have seen them, let me know. If there was a strong correlation between the two, because I get where Emily's coming from. I really do, feeling that she maybe had copied her. And if there's this whole big power with stalking and harassing happening, it's more believable in this sense. I don't like that kind of conversation that, you know, I don't know how to really say this, but how everybody's copying everyone else. It's YouTube. It kind of happens. But in this particular situation, I do see where she's coming from. I understand that sentiment. I just see that that is used in other dramas and in other situations to criticize someone else or belittle someone else's success because they have similar content. YouTube, you're going to find the same stuff with different people and different personalities throughout every genre. But with that being said, she did that beforehand. She deleted all that stuff before the locale exposure. And then the locale exposure happened, and she puts out this half-assed, make no sense acknowledgement, because it really wasn't even an apology. It was an acknowledgement of, hey, I know this is going on. It's not me. My IP is being spoofed, which there have been plenty of other creators to talk about the IP spoofing. I had to watch multiple creators to be able to fully understand that, yes, it is possible. However, in the sense that she was trying to make it seem that it happened is not very likely. So a lot of people don't believe that. It seems a lot of people are 50-50 if Amy existed. I really don't know where I stand with that. The coincidences between the stories, like what Emily said and had receipts to back up and had evidence to show, even though if some of it is going to be considered circumstantial to people, it supports her story. It supports her experience. It makes sense. And then you see CreepShow Art's story from 2 years ago, and it doesn't really make sense. There are absolutely no receipts, and you're just left taking her for her word. So it's in the coincidences between the stories being so similar and having so many lining pieces, it is hard for me to definitively say that I think Amy was real. I don't know. Honestly, like, that's my honest opinion. I don't know. I also don't ever want to diminish someone who may be experiencing anything just because she has, in my opinion, at this point, been proven to be engage in some pretty disgusting things. It doesn't mean that she's not going to have terrible things happen to her as well. So I don't want to diminish that at all. If you don't feel that Amy exists, that's fine. I'm not trying to convince anybody she does or doesn't, but that is one of the points of topic that I see a lot of. Nobody's really arguing about it, but just having a very strong difference of opinion with that situation. Sorry, my mouth is getting dry. So I don't understand. I honestly don't feel that Shannon intends to come back. Am I saying she can't come back? No, nobody's saying that. She's going to have a hard time if she does. But the hole that she has put herself into with continuing to lie to her audience in that community post, continue to lie and tell different things to her friends, she has burned, I think, every bridge. And it's just so hard for myself to really wrap my head around why someone would do this. And that's why personally I think there's underlying issues. whether it be a relationship issue or some mental health or a combination or who knows what else. Something is not, none of this makes sense. She was doing really well on her platform. And I think in an attempt to have her friends somewhat defend her without actually defending her is why she started to make the posts that some of them have showed us, why Ready to Glare stated she had received roses. She was essentially love bombing anyone that she had respect or love for, if we can call it that. And I think in her efforts of doing that was because she knew that something was going to be coming out. I don't know if she actually knew what, but I do think that she was alerted that some of this was going to be coming out. And in her efforts to protect herself to whatever degree she thought she could at the moment without taking accountability and acknowledging, like, hey, I know I've portrayed myself this way, but I'm really like this other person as well who's engaged in this other crappy stuff. If you don't want to forgive me, I get that, but I just want you to know. Instead, she tried to overtalk them nicely, send them nice things. And there have been some creators who have said that their overall experience with Shannon wasn't bad, that she had supported them and shouted them out and had been super supportive. And it seems to me that the people she hurt the most were the ones that she was closest to. And to me, that all the more kind of rings that this has something to do with a power issue, a power imbalance. Maybe she was trying to take control because she doesn't have it in her relationship. I'm not sure. That's speculative on my behalf. I don't know. I don't think anyone does. The people who have been keeping up with this story and telling this story, so much of my respect goes to all of you, because it is so hard to keep everything straight. And within that community, people who have been discussing her, one of them was Omnia, and people are now so paranoid because of Shannon fooling everybody that people were accusing her of being Shannon because she sounds like Shannon. To the point that she felt pressured to actually reveal her face. That's asinine. That is asinine that the public is that invested that you are going to be so paranoid because one creator, which I know there's been others, because of this one creator. This is why I say have boundaries. Because then you won't get so invested when stuff like this happens to the point that you're reaching paranoia on other creators, where you're pressuring people who are seriously dealing with some feelings and trying to process and understand while the rest of us are trying to understand the story and follow the different plots. It's so weird. And I mean, hats off to her to just be like, I don't care. If you guys want a face reveal, I'll give it to you. But that's just crazy that she felt that was necessary because she kept getting people telling her she's CreepShow, she's CreepShow. Shannon has hurt not only her creators, friends, not only her subscribers, but anyone who has decided to indulge themselves in trying to figure the situation, because people aren't going to trust creators now. It's going to take a while. Even if a creator has never done anything problematic, people are going to question their every word. People are just going to assume that, hey, you may be talking shit about me on a forum. And I feel bad for the creators who were friends with her, because now they are probably going to be so freaking guarded moving forward with their online friendships. It's a level of distrust and betrayal. And I hope anyone, whether they're creators or people who knew her in real life, are seeking therapy to help them work through this, because I couldn't imagine trying to figure all this out and process it all on your own, or at least having a good confidant or friend that you seriously trust that you could talk this out with, because keeping it bottled up and just trying to decipher it all and see where you fit into it is crazy. Because I can't imagine, some of these creators may be questioning their involvement with her and their collaborations. I know the gentleman who was editing her videos, N-Bird, he has come out with a statement because, again, he felt pressured by the public that he had to make a video because his public written statement wasn't enough for people. I hope no one watching this chat has engaged in any of that, because we're not entitled to jack shit as viewers. We can ask and request, and if they deny, we need to respect that. If you are not willing to respect where somebody stands, you probably shouldn't be watching their content. You probably shouldn't be engaging with them, because you don't have respect for them. But he is hurt now, and he has had to pull his, he's pulled and had to say that he's no longer her editor, which at this point, who knows if she would ever even upload a video. I don't think she will. If based off of her history at this point, a conspiracy theory I would maybe say would potentially happen if she were to ever try to come back, it would be on a totally new account. I don't think she would try to hide who she is, but maybe she would. I mean, who knows at this point, right? But I highly doubt she is going to come back to her actual channel anytime soon. Because again, more and more keeps getting released every single day. This has been going on for 2 weeks now? And every day there is a new twist, a new turn, a new survivor coming out, another creator, big and small, who have had an experience with her. Yeah, N-Bird does seem relative, his appearance seems that he's young. I don't know if he is, but it's in all, like I said earlier, in all of these videos of people who were, whether it was work related to Shannon or were friends with Shannon, really, I can see the pain on their faces. I can see the sense of betrayal, the sense of misunderstanding, the sense of, some of them making videos that I don't think they wanted to make, but to appease their audience who is pressuring them to make these videos, they are, because they feel that they're backed against a wall. You think he's 21 or 22? I mean, that's relatively young. But I mean, this has affected so many people, and it does go every which way. Then we have creators who are trying to make this situation about them. It is, in my opinion, it is one thing to report and give your opinion about something, especially when it is as publicized as this has been and as breaking news as this has been. I understand people wanting to, this is one of those situations where I do understand people jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak, and giving their 2 cents. I do understand it. However, I don't understand people trying to insert themselves into this situation or try to diminish actual survivors of alleged crimes. That is even worse than being a viewer and trying to pressure these creators into responding. The fact that you're going to be so entitled and sit on your platform and pull the pity me, she made a bad video on me, she called me out for bad behavior, and I got hate. Come on. seriously, it's not about you. Stop trying to, don't clout chase the situation. If you want to talk about it, but don't clout chase and try to make it about you or try to gain sympathy points from new people. Because one of the people who has engaged in this, actually both people who have done this that I have seen, both are problematic. Both have problematic histories. And from what I saw of CreepShow's videos on them, they were actually pretty fucking accurate. But because she's being exposed for engaging in disgusting behavior against others, you're going to try and use that and say that that is why you received hate, that is why you lost subscribers. No, ma'am, no, sir. Absolutely not. Your bad behavior is why you have lost subscribers and you got hate. If you weren't engaging in constant bad behavior all the time, those videos wouldn't have been made. And CreepShow Art isn't the only person who made videos on these individuals. And one of these individuals changes every week on who is to blame for anything negative that happens to them, rather than take accountability and acknowledge that they're the problem. I mean, come on, it's just, I hope no more other creators try to take advantage of the situation. I hope people who had an experience, whether it was positive or negative, feel comfortable to go to their platform and just say, hey, this was my experience. Because like I said, I have watched videos and I can't remember which creator it was, but they stated they had never had a negative experience with her. And that they had talked to her in DMs briefly, occasionally, and she was always very nice and shouted them out. I can't remember which creator that was. Just because someone has done nasty things doesn't mean that the other people's stories aren't valid as well. And I've always said that everybody's story, anybody who's ever willing to talk about an experience, whether it's with someone online or not, their story is valid. And if you choose to not believe it and you want to ask further questions, sure, do so, but you can do so respectfully. And I did see someone ask if I saw Keemstar's tweet. I did see Keemstar's tweet, but are we surprised? Because I'm not. I mean, honestly, and that's nothing, no shade towards Keem, but like, he's also been problematic. So I'm not surprised. People are open to have whatever opinion they have. You can have healthy, productive even conversations if you have a difference of opinion or if you have a different perception of a situation. I can typically understand where someone's coming from, even if it's the opposite opinion of mine. He probably is trolling. I mean, is that not what he does about anything that's like really popping on YouTube? That sounded real. I think that aged me a little bit. But I mean, really, like, isn't that like his shtick now? Is on Twitter, he does his little Twitter videos, and then anytime there's like a massive drama that has a whole lot of YouTubers involved in it and talking about it, doesn't he usually take like the opposing position almost every single time? So I don't know. I want to see what some of you guys are saying and how some of you guys are feeling about all this. I know I haven't covered absolutely everything. I feel like I've covered the large points and aspects of this. And like I said, personally, I think this is going to continue. I think people are going to continue to come forward. I think this will die down in a few weeks. I really think it probably will. But but I personally don't see CreepShow coming back anytime soon. I wouldn't be surprised if she does try to like come back at some point, because she left under the guise of illegal action. Who knows if that's actually taking place? From what some of her friends like Tipster and who else was it? A few other people mentioned, I think Repzilla mentioned the whole legal aspect and how she didn't trust them or wouldn't share anything with them. That's further like a slap in their faces. But the fact that she wouldn't share anything with them, and it was under the statement of they may leak it, that she didn't trust them, to me states that she may not be actually doing that. That may just have been her way to quietly step away from her platform and hope that when she comes back, she can make up whatever kind of story, or if she does go through with any kind of legal action, be able to address a video with that. From what we have seen in all of this, I have not seen personally Shannon have the ability to actually take accountability, even though she preaches that accountability needs to be taken by everyone else that she calls out. I don't think she has the ability to take accountability herself. I highly doubt she is going to admit to anything that has come forward, partly because it could incriminate her if the allegations and all of the information that has been brought forward, if she admitted to that. So I don't foresee it happening anytime soon. So to be fair, Tipster, yeah, I didn't really follow that situation that he had leaked DMs. I mean, I can understand that, but if you're friends with someone and they're a creator and they are going to, I've had these conversations because I have shared DMs in a video before, and I've had conversations with people about sharing the DMs, but it was where do you stand? How would you handle the situation? Some of them didn't agree with me, and that's totally fine. I totally understood where they were coming from. So I think if they were friends, there could have been a conversation. Shannon probably would have maybe understood where Tipster was coming from. You can understand where someone's coming from and not agree with the action or the behavior. Just like you can like someone and maybe not like their opinion on one thing. It doesn't make them a terrible person all of a sudden because you don't agree with them on absolutely everything. But I could see her hesitation, but I also think she probably knew. I mean, like I said, I think she knew this stuff was coming out, and I have an inkling that she also assumed that when this came out, people would feel comfortable to say their negative experiences with her because her credibility was already starting to diminish. I would kind of be surprised, in my personal opinion, if anyone thinks that she has any kind of integrity or credibility at this point. I mean, it's very minuscule. I know she has done some great things with her community at times. I know some of her videos I thoroughly enjoyed, and she assisted survivors of a different situation in a great way, and I don't want to take away from that. So she does have small amounts, in my opinion, but it would take her literally owning up to all of this and showing growth. But the thing is, how would we ever know if growth was actually happening? Because all of this has been going on for years. At least the lolcow stuff has been going on for at least 2 years. So for 2 years, she has been calling out poor behavior and preaching to her audience and kind of engaging in cancel culture on the one hand. But on the other hand, she is doing the exact same, and sometimes, in my opinion, worse, on this platform, on this anonymous platform. I mean, it's hard to really take into account all of that. You don't think she ever intended for her channel to be big. You think she had a channel to troll Emily and it took off. I've seen that theory a few times. And I mean, in hindsight, you guys may be right. That might be a good, that's a good conspiracy theory. Who's to say? I mean, only Shannon is to say. Clearly, she had some artistic abilities prior to her, amassing a following. She had some abilities. So who really knows? Who really knows if it was all just a follow and copy or whatever you want to say to Emily's channel to be another layer of, hey, I'm here, kind of. What makes that situation weird to me is the fact that Shannon knew who Emily was. Emily did not know who CreepShow was. Does that make sense? So Shannon would have known what she was doing. And from everything else that was alleged and all the other screenshots and things that were shown, they were very clear in wanting to emotionally cripple Emily. And I don't know what the benefit would be of her to know. I just talked myself into it though, but of her to know who Emily was. I mean, I was going to say, what benefit would that have if Emily doesn't know who CreepShow was at the time? But that's just the power issue. That's when the power part can come in, because she knows that she's causing her harm, because she would say it in her videos that she was feeling pressured and that she was being harassed. Like, I mean, I guess it was enough for her if that was her intent. I don't know. Like I said, she did have some artistic ability, so maybe part of it was inspiration and maybe the other part was to kind of be there. It's all very strange. Like I said, I don't think anyone who would engage in all of this behavior to all of these different people. Yes, Emily was the one who clearly was a larger target and got a lot more. She was doing some nasty things to other people on the platform. I don't really know the whole Hopeless Peaches situation, so I don't really want to talk too much on that, but I know that there was stuff going on with her while all of that stuff was going on, while Shannon was making videos about her and stuff like that. To know that and preach on your channel that you care about people and try to bring mental awareness to some degree in some of her, how she would talk about some things, to know someone could have been in that hard of a place and you not caring. I don't know. All of this to me speaks and shows that there's something really off kilter, whether, like I said, whether it's a relationship thing or a mental health thing or a combination thing or a stress thing. There is something playing into why Shannon was engaging in all of this. And I mean, I'm not trying to diminish Emily's story at all, but just to really hone it in is, even if we omit Emily's story at this point, right? Think of all of the other people who have come out and said things. Even her own family are coming out and saying, no, she this is the kind of person she is. To me, that does nothing but further support Emily and what Emily was experiencing. And like I said earlier, I can understand people who want to play the further devil advocate side, that it was all circumstantial and they're not just going to, I don't know if any of them said that they're just not going to believe her, or if it was implied that they didn't fully believe her story. to each their own, right? If they don't feel that way, that's fine. But at this point, I find it very hard to convince anyone that she didn't have some kind of involvement. No, Beauty Demon, I don't know who she was referring to in that video. But I don't like saying that I feel bad, because I know how much I don't like people to say that about me when, I talk about things that people could be sympathetic towards. I cannot fathom being in Ready to Glare's shoes during all of this. She's experienced this exact same thing before, and here she is yet again having to deal with it again, all while having a hard time with her mental health, and then having to address it publicly and have people probably pick apart what you were saying. And I'm sure most people are supportive, but it is the internet. Like, you could have 90% of the people supporting you, and that 10% that doesn't agree with you, doesn't support you, and is just going to be negative because they can be. When you're not in a good headspace and you're dealing with a lot of stress and emotional baggage, all you are likely to hone in on is that 10%. The 90% just doesn't exist. And I'm sure she has a larger platform. I'm sure she has some kind of safety net in place for her well-being. If not, hopefully by miraculously, someone will see this and will advise her a way to help her with that, set in place some kind of safety net so she doesn't have to subject herself to all that. Yeah, I'm not sure who that is. I haven't seen anybody who has talked about or reviewed some of the friends coming out say who that first creator was that she was acknowledging. But at the end of the day, what good does it do to know who it was, right? I get the curiosity aspect of it, but aside from that, what benefit does it bring to know who was engaging in disgusting behavior like that? Hey, Gingerly, good to see you. All right. Was there any aspect of this story that I haven't talked about that you guys wanted me to give my opinion on? Yeah, I know, Beauty Demon. And she's someone who's just been vocal about her struggles. I'm sure there's other people who are struggling, who aren't as open or transparent about their struggles, that may be a good reason why some of these creators don't want to just sit down and make a video, because they may take extra time to process their feelings. Yeah, Ready to Glare does have some amazing content. I definitely understand that. I mean, I watched so many videos of other people who I hadn't seen before covering this, which I've found a lot of amazing creators through all of this. So I'm kind of thankful to that. But I just wish there was some kind of, and maybe you guys can bounce opinions off, what's something good that could come of all of this? Do you think anything good can come from all of this? Is there any way that we can kind of make it to where something positive happens? I don't think so, CW. I think there's speculation onto another party on why that was going on. I really don't think so, because we can see from, I don't want to compare the two, but we can see from how they were with Emily. if they were the ones who were engaging in all of this behavior. Again, I say that just for legal purposes. Like, they covered their tracks to an extent. Whoever is involved in the threats and hacking and everything going on with the parties involved in the Tati and Without a Crystal Ball lawsuit, no offense to Shannon if she was the one doing this, or whoever's engaging in this behavior with Emily, they're smarter than they are. Because I'm pretty sure there's still investigations going on with that because they're so good at it. Hey, Jersey, it's good to see you. You found a lot of awesome channels, especially art channels. Yeah, I'm not super artistic in like the drawing sphere. So I have found, though, in watching a lot of these channels, that it's pretty therapeutic for me to watch and listen to them. And, you know, for most of the channels that I was seeing, if they felt that they needed to provide a receipt, it would just overlay their artwork. It was very soothing to watch. And I watched CreepShow's videos, but that was more because it was commentary. But I enjoyed watching a lot of them. And I have subscribed to so many new channels now. I'm glad to be widening my viewing sphere. You're not artsy either. Yeah. I mean, you know, practice makes perfect, though. All right. I think I asked, but I'm going to ask one more time. Is there any aspect of this situation that I didn't discuss that you guys wanted me to? Excuse me. Or that that I didn't talk about that you guys just want to talk about, whether you hear my opinion or not? Yeah, I do too, Sue. I think that's the consensus for quite a few people. All right. So, hey, Lauren, thank you guys who have come in and who have complimented me or my hair or had the engaged in the conversation, so to speak. I think I covered just about, is the boyfriend taking heat? I mean, partially. Some creators are acknowledging it. I see people mentioning him, but the focus primarily has been on CreepShow. And I don't know if that's because CreepShow hurt so many people or if it's because he was more in the background. That's why I wanted to talk quite a bit about, he's the source to this. He is the source. Like, there is legitimate proof. If I'm remembering correctly, Emily had some receipts that showed it was him and played some of his old video footage. So I don't know if people are hesitant because he's not as strong of a public figure, but either way, like, he deserves a lot more of the blame, in my opinion, because I do think he's the one who started this. But I feel on YouTube, when things like this happen with a creator, especially a creator that was really liked, they're so astonished that they want to just call out all the bad in that creator at that point. And I have seen a few videos where they acknowledge the boyfriend and stuff like that. And I think more will. I think more as people, you know, continue to dive into this story and really pick it apart, more people will hold him a little bit more accountable. Yeah, I think he is the start of all of this. And I think, like I said earlier, I don't know if it's because of a relationship dynamic thing or if Shannon had these tendencies already, that this spread out as far as it did. And who knows why it did. Who knows if she was actually getting enjoyment out of it? Who knows if she got a thrill off of faking to be anonymous on these websites and, you know, these sock accounts? Who knows? But with all of that being said, I think I've covered all of the large parts of this story. Like I said, I have a feeling that more and more information is going to continue to come out. More and more people are going to continue to express their experiences, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. And if more alarming or pretty altering information comes out, I may do another live stream, or I may sit down and do a video about it. If it continues, if something really large happens, I suggest you watching Xylee. I know she's doing I think she's doing a stream about it. She was going to do one. I don't know. She's also keeping up with it pretty well. And Beauty Demon has also been making some pretty regular content about any new breaking news of all of this. And I'll link all of their videos, as well as just about every single other video involved with what we've talked about today. It's probably going to take me some time, though, because there's going to be about like 20 videos that I'm going to end up pulling. So just be patient with me. Last time I said I was going to put in links, it took me a week because I was not near my computer. But I will get them up. If not, by the end of tonight, they'll be up tomorrow morning. Hopefully you guys will have a video tomorrow. Otherwise, I hope you guys all have a good day, evening, or night, wherever you guys are. And until next time, bye, guys.